evening. A Christmas present. And so it was, that Christmas Eve, that he was visited by three spirits. The first showed him his past, showed him how happy he had been, before disappointment and circumstance had soured him. Showed him how many of those who had clustered about his childhood and young adulthood had made his life the easy and content one it had been. Showed him how misfortune had been arbitrary and his bitterness unfounded. Showed him that his success was the result of all those who had helped him along his way, and how he was linked with all those he had shared his youthful years with. How he had not stood aloof and alone above them all. Showed them how much he owed their kindness. The second spirit showed him the present. Showered him with images of small and great kindnesses from high to low. Showed his loathed wastrel relatives and cheating employees as human figures, not the simplistic caricatures that he had moulded of them in his mind. This spirit foretold of the death of a child, and showed him the orphans his people had created, and the mewling, miserable want, and vicious, spitting ignorance. The third spoke not a single word, but took him forward and showed him a lonely death, unmourned by any who knew him, with squabbles over his inheritance, and finally, a neglected grave in a municipal cemetery, its green gravel slimy and noisome. The name on the stone, almost, but not quite, illegible. And then he woke up. And it was Christmas morning. He had not missed it. The spirits had done their work in one night, and he rejoiced and promised to mend his ways. And he turned on his computer and searched for a site that could deliver a prize goose to his overworked, underpaid secretary and her family that very day. There wasn't one. And the goodwill chilled within him, and he reminded himself that these were hard times. He spoke to himself of the need to be realistic, to face up to the mess the last lot had left, and of the unfortunate fact that hard times require hard policy. And he realized that throwing money at a problem solves nothing, and it was time that people stood on their own feet. The memory of those who had helped him to his success faded, to be replaced by his comforting assurance that his wealth was solely down to his own hard work. And still the goodwill chilled within him as he considered the fecklessness of those who had children they could not afford. He rehearsed half-remembered rows of his relatives and recast them with himself as the misunderstood but nobly realistic hero. He wondered when other people, how it was that other people's want and ignorance had become his problem. And the goodwill finally bled away as he considered the inevitability of his end, and he told himself that while he might not be remembered with affection, he would be remembered with respect. And so chilled had his goodwill become that it spread to his heart and froze it, so it never could beat again. Not once. Christmas, as a rule, is not observed in hell. For sure, some of the demons might put on paper hats, but their intention is more satirical than festive. Presents are not swapped, and good wishes, for rather obvious reasons, are not offered. It would make a bit of a mockery of the whole thing. And so it was, on his obsidian throne, Lucifer Morningstar sat and pondered. Once the most beloved of the angels, before his rebellion and fall, he often became melancholy at this time of year. And then he would shake out his leather wings, give an arrogant flick to his left horn, making it ding, and continue ruling in hell. This Christmas, however, seemed different. He was finding it difficult to shake off his heavy inertia and get on with the torturing and punishing of the damned souls. It all seemed so pointless. And then came a small, still voice that only he could hear. And after that came a golden glow that shone before his throne, which faded to reveal the soul of a rich human who had let his arrogance and greed chill his heart to an absolute stop that very Christmas morn. And Lucifer looked up to see the celestial city that he alone in hell could still perceive, and whispered, "Thank you. It's just what I always wanted." Merry Christmas.